Now let's talk about a tire plug. I have a screw in one of my tires over here. So what we're gonna do is just use some premium plugs, some cement glue, and just plug it. All right, again, you're off if you're working outside, and make sure you have a good location. I love using my garage. Can't go without it. Remember, every time I'm jacking the car up, wheel security. Put those bricks behind those wheels to keep it from rolling, or whatever you use. They make some professional tools or things that can go under the tires, but I have some big bricks, some big rocks around, so that's what I use. And also, put down those emergency brakes. All right, being that I'm working in the front of the car and only doing one wheel, I'm not gonna use the center of the car to jack it up. I'm only gonna jack up one side. So what you wanna do is find that there's a nice smooth part of the rail with nothing beside it or in front of it that you can use to put your jack on. And so I always like to use jack stands when I'm working on a car, especially if I'm gonna have the wheel off for an extended period of time. So instead of putting my jack on the smooth part of the rail, I'm gonna jack it up from further back, and then that would allow me to put my jack stand on the smooth part of the rail. So I'm gonna take my jack stand and make sure I have enough room between my jack stand and my jack. Make sure I have the placement that I need for my jack stand and that my jack is not in the way. So my jack stand would need to go here, so I probably need to slide my jack back just a little bit to give me that room that I need. And want to make sure that you have your jack right in the right spot of the grooves so that it doesn't slip. And I like to jack it up just enough to get the tension off the wheel and not take the wheel off the ground. And then I can come back and loosen my bolts, not taking them all the way off, but just enough where my impact driver can run them. All right, now let's get this baby off the ground. So now that I have it off the ground, I can slide my jack stand into place. I'll lift that baby all the way up. Impact driver, which makes removing lugs a breeze. Make sure you keep your lugs together. All right, so now I can take this off. All right, so let's find that nail. All right, so now you can see, there's my problem. Screw right in the center of my brand new tires. All right, when plugging a tire, you never want to plug a tire on the side rails. You want to be as close to the center of the tire as possible. The further you get to the outside, the more dangerous that it is. So this is how you plug it. First thing we're going to do is take this screw out using some pliers, and then we're going to use a tool to stick it in the hole to clear the hole out. And then we're going to use another tool that has the plug glued up really good and installed on it. And then we're going to stick that plug in and snatch it out real quick. That way it'll break the plug, leaving the plug stuck in the hole. And then we can just trim the excess off. All right, let's get to it. We want to make sure we have all of our tools at hand. We have our plugs, have our glue, have our plug tools, a blade, and some wire cutters or pliers, rubber gloves. All right, let's throw my gloves on. So before I start on this part, pulling the nail or the screw out, I want to go ahead and get my plug ready. Take one of these puppies out. So this is my plug, this is what it looks like. This is my plug tool. So I want to thread this plug in this hole. All right, so Want to put that inside of there. And then I'm going to use these pliers to pull that plug through. You can see this is just rubber. Sticky rubber. And I want to get this inside this tool. Matter of fact, let me do this. And this is cement glue. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use a little bit of this glue just to make it real slippery and slick. And that should help me, see that, pull through that. And now I want to get it was right there in the center where I got equal on the left, equal on the right of the tool. And this tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this right in that hole. And when I pull it out, it's going to have equal amount on both sides in that hole. But before I put it in there, I'm going to put a whole lot more glue on there. I just want to make sure it's ready when I pull this hole out, because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. All right, so now you want to be careful pulling this screw out, because what you don't want is this screw to pop up and hit you in the face. So you want to be real careful. And what I'm trying to do is keep my pliers engaged on the screw so that it don't pop out. Sucker is long too. Let me get me some longer pliers. So I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the grip pliers. That way I can just lock them on and not have to worry about slipping off. All right, so they're locked on now. So I could just turn that. Woo! So you hear that hiss? It's a big hole. So now I'm gonna take my tool to clean that hole out, go right inside that hole. So now it's all the way in that hole, and when I pull that out, it's gonna make it a nice clean hole. Do it again. Nice clean hole. So now I'm gonna put a bunch of glue on my rubber to stick in that hole. I'm gonna do it over here. So I just saturated this thing with rubber cement glue. It's like almost dripping off. It's saturated. So now I'm gonna just stick it down in that hole. And say I don't want to put it so far in there that the rubber goes inside of the tire. I want the rubber to be sticking out. So if you can see that, we have the rubber sticking out of the tire, but a lot of it is on the inside as well. And so now that I have that in there, nice chunk inside of the hole, now what I want to do, yep, got a nice amount in there. What I'm going to do is quickly pull this out to break the rubber. That way, when I break the rubber, it'll leave that plug inside. Boom. And so now you can see we got a nice good plug in there. Nice amount of the rubber is inside of the tire, and we got some sticking out. And so what's going to happen when that rubber and that cement dries, it's going to plug and seat, and it's going to singe or fuse with this rubber tire. And we should be good to go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blade and cut some of this excess off. Excess. I'm going to cut some of this excess off. So I'm going to use my wire cutters to hold it. Where I take my blade, and carefully, I don't want to mess up my tire. But you see, just cut some of that extra rubber off. And that's how you plug a tire. So what I need to do now is when I put it back on the car and let the car down, I'm gonna fill this back up with air and just let it, and then when it sit overnight, it's gonna be good to go. All right, so let's put this back on the car. All right, so let's put this back on the car. And remember, I always hand screw my lugs back on before I put any tool on it, because I don't want to cross thread my lugs. It's worth the time, trust me, because it's very expensive trying to get a broken lug replaced. All right, so I have those on. Let's tighten these babies up. All right. There we go. Another job well done. So what I'm gonna do, loosen that. Let's go get rid of these gloves. Slowly let it down just enough for the wheels to touch the ground. All right, now I'll use my bar to put some more weight on those lugs. There we go. Snug them up real good. Not too much. Boom. We're good to go. All right, we're all done. And to cap off any project, you gotta put your tools away. Always put your tools away. That way, the next time you get ready to start your next job, you know where your tools are.